starting shortly. For a second. Welcome to this edition of Cats versus Cards. I believe this is episode 10. And just like my background, we got a few changes for you. Today, you see the overlay that's a little bit different. My background is a little bit different. And the show format is going to be a little bit different today. I hope you guys can hear me. I hope everything is all right. Today, we're going to try to condense it down. We're going to try to make this a little bit different format. I hope more fun for you guys, more well-rounded. We don't get stuck on one subject and we keep the show moving. On today, we'll talk about what happened this past Saturday or this past Thursday for Louisville playing against Virginia. They're beating Virginia. They outlasted Virginia. Kentucky that just got embarrassed on their home field. And what does that mean? Then we'll talk about some basketball as well. It'll be fun. We'll talk about some basketball as well. So, without further ado, please let me get back. Please like and share this broadcast. Please like and share this broadcast. I shared this out on Facebook, and I hope you guys have seen this on Facebook. I hope that you guys will like and share it out. And also, if you search Cats versus Cards, or look where this is originally coming from, Cats versus Cards, a group in on Facebook. You can join our group on Facebook so you get our latest announcements, stay up to date with the news. We will bring to you news for Kentucky sports as well as Louisville sports. Yes, Louisville sports. So we're aiming for one aggregate place for all sports news here in the state of Kentucky. So please follow us. Please like and share right there. Also contact us on not on Facebook, but on Twitter. We'll also be on Twitter as well. Cats versus Cards. You'll be able to find us on Twitter. You'll be able to find us videos on Twitter. If you want to get a hold of me, there I am right there on the screen at Willie Dubs on Twitter. And just like always, be a part of the discussion. All right, guys. If you're on YouTube, we got the YouTube channel as well. Go ahead and search Cats versus Cards and subscribe to our channel so you can get these broadcasts as we do them. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and show our cast that we have on today. All right. And if my screen will cooperate with me. Okay, I think my screen doesn't like me right now. All right, there we go. At the very top, PJ, what's going on? No, I'm sorry, Phil, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's good? How's everybody doing out there? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Cats by 90.
Cast by 90. That's a signature deal. All right, then next up, Richard. It looks like that he's driving in the car. What's up, Rich?
There we go. I had to take myself off of mutes. Hey, podcasters, I'm in my car coming back from Tennessee, but my slogan L1C4 Cars for Life, baby.
Yeah, he's down there in Tennessee with some fan group, Tennessee Vols fan group, and he's supposed to be a Louisville fan. No, I'm just playing. Next up, the Deacon himself in his suit, joining us all the way from Arizona. What's going on, Perry?
Cards forever.
We don't know what that is right there. But again, like we've been saying, like and share this broadcast. All right. And let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about these Louisville Cardinals. Louisville outlasting Virginia. Virginia came in pretty low. Well, I'd say, yeah, pretty low rank in the ACC. They're a bottom feeder of the ACC, 1-5 now after playing Louisville, but they made it more interesting than what it should have been. It really looked like that Louisville was trying to lose this game. And they just wasn't able to lose the game. All right, we got a scoreboard that's coming up, and we're going to give ourselves 7 minutes. This is the new format. I don't know why it says fourth quarter, but we're going to leave it. We're going to give ourselves 7 minutes on this. Each of the panelists, they're going to have a minute of discussion before we go on to the next person. All right, does everybody realize what's going on there?
Yeah.
All right. So first up, Richard, just let us know what did you see in this game? Did it disappoint you guys, or what is your take on this?
Well, my take on it is initially the Louisville seemed like on offense they came out kind of blasé, like they were sleepwalking. There was a couple of plays. Gerard Jordan stepped out of bounds. Trying to receive a catch, he didn't have to do that, and that could have cost us a touchdown. That cost us a touchdown. Then there was the botched field goal attempt. All you got to do is hold the ball, snap the ball, and kick it, and that was automatic. Yeah. He missed another field goal, so it was a lot of sleepwalking that first half of the game. But disappointment, no, because what I saw is they came back out, made adjustments after Virginia slapped them in the mouth. Made adjustments, they kept their composure. Although they were at home, I like to see them do this on the road, but they kept their composure, came back and regrouped and still pulled out the victory. Now, as far as what I also saw from Virginia, I saw a team that had pretty beefy offensive line. I don't know if that's probably the biggest line they've seen so far, but them guys look like horses out there, and so it's probably giving Louisville a little bit of trouble, both on defense and offense. But other than that, we also have to remember Gerard, Jordan, and Thrash are still kind of banged up. They're not 100%, so we didn't get full production out of them. But yet we still was able to score and run it, get down the field and do what we needed to do.
All right. All right.
Time.
Yep. Perry, what did you see here? He made a good statement about the horses. I remember in text messages you guys were talking about that Louisville looks small, and somebody made the comment that it's the black that makes you look smaller than what you really are. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think it was the black uniforms against the white uniforms. I will admit that UVA's offensive line is pretty big, but I don't think our defensive line had as much of a problem with them. It's more about everybody behind the defensive line. Just real quick, I think a lot of our issues were.
He went out there. I don't know what he was going to say. He went out and his screen paused on us real quick. Perry, if you are able to come back, go ahead. Go ahead, PJ. Go ahead from your Kentucky, the blue side of things. What did you see in this game, or did you get to watch it? I think you're on mute, PJ. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I got to watch the replay of it, and I was going to say, kind of to allude to what Richard has said. It did look like, sometimes some teams come out with that mentality like this is, I won't say an easy game, but like this is a game we should win. We see it in basketball easier, easily in basketball, but in football it's harder to see sometimes. But in this game, it came out kind of like, I think after like the first series or so, it's like, okay, we're gonna beat this team, we're gonna handle them, and I think they kind of got relaxed.
Yeah.
Had some mishaps happen, but I even when they was down, I told like in the chat, I said Lou's gonna win this game. They're just a better team than this team, and they clutched it up and made the correct plays and pulled it off. So, kudos to them for pulling it off and getting that dub.
Hey, I'll tell you, they made it interesting there at the end because for a second there, I thought Louisville was going to come out of here with a loss. How'd you feel about that, Richard? I know you have to be thinking the ACC Championship flashing before your eyes right there.
Well, I tell you, after I saw Jack Plummer throw that interception right there, straight after they had come back real quick with 14, came down, scored. Then we got the ball back, and he threw that pick right there. I thought he was going to lose his mind, and my complaint about Jack the whole season is he's this mental grenade that's ready to go off anytime. And sure enough, he pulled the pin and it went off. But I was pleased to see that he gathered himself together, got that composure, and was able to turn it around later in the fourth quarter. So, but other than that, at that particular point when he threw that pick, I thought the wheels were about to fall off and we were about to have a meltdown like we had at Pitt. However, we composed ourselves.
Got you. Yeah, and I'll tell you this, his QBR was only 47.8. So according to the QBR, you wouldn't think that they played well, but you guys, your defense showed up when it counted. And I'll tell you as well, when it looked like that the game was in doubt that you guys were going to lose, you showed resolve, marched right down there in the field, and basically took it away from them. And that right there is going to be a staple of a championship team. If you're not a championship team, you'll let that slip every single time. Let that slip every single time. Go ahead.
And if I have one more comment, the defense really showed up. I know that was 21 points put on us, but when you look at it, Virginia's first touchdown was a fake on the tush push. And I've never seen anybody utilize that, make the tush push and fake off of that. That was pretty ingenious. And the fact that they held Virginia all the way through the third quarter, into the third quarter scoreless, and the fact that, hey, that was your first touchdown you gave up, that was tremendous. And then, of course, the second score was an offensive mistake, not defensive. And then the third score, yes, Virginia actually in my opinion, earned that one. So really, technically, we only gave up 17 points when you think the 2 touchdowns and the field goal. So, but other than that, the defense still played lights out. They had 4 sacks. I can't remember how many tackles for loss, but Giotti was just a beast out there.
Yeah, that fourth quarter. Go ahead, PJ.
No, I was just gonna say that's what I'm gonna say. I think a lot of credit to the defense because at the very end of the game, they locked up and brought some really good pressure. They threw Virginia off, and really is what kind of really won them the game. To me, was I think that's however you say his name. Richard said his name. He had a really big impact at the end of the game, and that's what you're supposed to do as one of the leaders of the defense. You're supposed to come up in the clutch, make those plays when you need them the most, and so credit to him for making sure he made those plays.
I'll tell you, those 2 running backs, Jordan and Garindo, I really like them. For you guys, Richard.
Our cousin Anthony. Yeah, our cousin Anthony gets on there. He calls him Thumper.
Thumper.
Garindo is the Thumper. Yeah.
Garindo, he had 6 carries for 94 yards for an average of 15.7 yards. That's pretty crazy in a touchdown. I'll tell you what, to close this section out, you guys won it in the fourth quarter. The Virginia, they had a third quarter 21-0, and really when I saw that, I thought, okay, this is going to be another one of those games where Louisville, they played great first half, second half, they stink it up, and this is where they're going to lose it. And so, yeah, they scored 21 points in that fourth quarter, but then you guys outscored them 17-3. 21 points in the third quarter, but you guys outscored them 17-3 in that fourth quarter. So that fourth quarter team showing that resolve. I see what you guys got. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about the UK football team, man. This is something that I think that is just embarrassing to me, I think, because this team, they show that they can really play with any team that has similar talent, but then these upper echelon teams, we fold every time. Let me go ahead and put my 7 minutes back on the clock. PJ, I'm gonna start with you. What did you see in that game? What do you like? What are you disappointed in? Go ahead.
Yeah, man. As simple as that. We just got dominated. I think I'll say it's a combination of two things, though, and I'll be fair to us, is that right now we're seeing the best Alabama has played this year. In this stretch they're on right now, to me, I have no doubt in my mind that when they go and play against Georgia, it's going to be a heck of a ball game, and I would not be surprised if they come in with the win, because Milroe especially is playing really, really well. And I always feel like the way our defense plays, we struggle against teams who have quarterbacks who can run really, really well. And so I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on our defense with the way we play. And then they have the athletes, of course, the star-studded guys. And they just really just controlled the game. We had a chance there when it was 28-14. And then, of course, boom, they took over again. So that's shown by our defense for sure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, just like you said, that we always have issues with quarterbacks that can run, and it was no different this time around. I know I've seen on different message boards and different groups that I'm a part of, and a lot of people talking about how unprepared we were. I don't think that we weren't unprepared. There's a couple of issues with this team. Number one, like you said, well, a few different issues with this team, because number one, like you said, we always have issues with running quarterbacks. This was a running quarterback. Our secondary and even our linebackers, a second level, they were just second guessing themselves sometimes when it seems like he could run, and then he'll just lob it pass right over them. That's basically how they got that first touchdown and whatnot. But these guys, you can kind of tell it in their play that they're confident in themselves, but they're not confident in their assignment. They're not confident in scheme. And it really shows in the beginning, blown coverages and things, because certain people are trying to do things that they shouldn't because they don't really trust the other guy. Then all of a sudden later on, you can kind of tell it if you're breaking down schemes with the coverages and who's supposed to be where and whatnot. That's too much to explain here. But later on in the game, it's not really adjustments that's made. It's just players just playing better, but at that point we're already down 21-0. So that mental toughness, I would say, is another thing that's going on with this team. And then also we have talent, but in the back end we don't have the talent that we usually have. I don't think that we could play with some of these guys, and I think that they feel that, and I think that's part of the confidence issue as well. But Richard, go ahead and give me your red tainted glasses view of Kentucky on Saturday, man.
Well, what I saw was, I don't think at any point in that game you all had an opportunity or a chance, even when it was 28-14. I say that because 10 minutes into the first quarter, they had psychologically destroyed you all mentally. It was 21-0. And it was a quick 20. And like I said, it was still 5 minutes in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for a botched punt recovery, where the guy dropped the ball and you all recovered the punt, the botched punt, it would have been a whole lot worse. Yeah. That's the way Alabama works. And unfortunately, what I see in the SEC, especially after today's news with Jimbo, there are 4 tiers in the SEC. There's Alabama and Georgia, or whichever team competes on that level with Alabama. Then there's the Missouri and LSU level. Then there's everybody else. And then there's the bottom feeder of Arkansas and Vandy. That's what I say. There are 4 tiers. And unfortunately, you could see the difference between the Alabama tier and everybody else below them, just in the games that you played with Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, I agree with that.
even though your score was closer in the Alabama game, I think Alabama demoralized y'all worse. It was a worse game for you all than the Georgia game.
All right,
You all had that state.
So all right, so you think that was a worse game for us than the Georgia game? PJ, what's your take on
Yes.
that? That's a pretty interesting take. What's your take on that, P?
I think it was a bad game because it was at home. But other than that, I think the Georgia game, I think was still worse. In my opinion, the only why I say that the Georgia game was still worse to me was because one thing I do, even botched or not, I still seen some type of fight in them at least. Even though the mental toughness is there, right? Like the messages are there, other things happen. There was still some type of fight there that you could see. In Georgia, after literally that first two possessions, there was literally none at all.
Yeah,
there was no fight at all. They were completely done.
They basically quit against Georgia.
Yeah, literally quit.
They fought a little bit here. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though Alabama still won, again, they did what they did. Yeah, it was still a bad loss as far as talk about how bad they beat and stuff like that. But to me, I at least still see elements in that, and it comes with young guys stepping up like Ty Bryant, Lexington kid, love his family, freshman out there, got 8 tackles. Like you had guys stepping in and playing more, and they want to be on the field. They want to prove something, and so I think that if anything helped out a little bit. But either way, I hate they were both terrible.
They both was terrible. So, okay, so that brings me to another question. I know we haven't gotten to that 7-minute mark, but let me go ahead and restart my clock. What do y'all think about this proverbial ceiling that we think that we're at with Mark Stoops? Because I mean, it seems like it's rinse and repeat every single year. We lose, stink up the joint on a game. We'll beat who we're supposed to beat. There might be one game a season that we don't beat who we're supposed to beat. And then other than that, we might get all of this hype going up against a Georgia or some big opponent, and it's a big letdown because it shows that we're just not ready there yet. So it really feels like that we're at that ceiling. I know people, they look at Missouri and they say you guys aspire to be Missouri, but what Missouri is doing this year, it's not something that Kentucky hasn't done in the past. We had that 10-win season. We had 2 10-win seasons. We've been in the final the playoff poll. We was in that discussion that if the playoffs was 12 teams this year, Kentucky might actually make it and stuff like that. And that's in second place in the SEC East, and that's stuff that Missouri is doing right now. So I don't think a lot of Kentucky fans really aspire to be Missouri, and we're not looking at Missouri as, oh, Missouri made it. I know myself, I'm looking at Missouri as, can they sustain it? But is what Missouri doing this year and what Kentucky's done in the past, is that the ceiling? Is that good enough? Should we accept that and just move on with Stoops? What do you think, P?
So as a lifelong fan, I've seen the worst of the worst, right? I've literally been in the stadium at some of the worst opportune times, right?
Yeah.
And I was telling a friend of mine, I said, here's my thing. You can both celebrate where we've come from and want to move on. And in the sense that, to me, I feel like we have hit a ceiling because of the concepts of Stoop, his philosophy, I think is never something that will really get you to the point of where I want to go, right? It's like, see us make it to the playoffs, see us contend and win a national championship, right? That may be far-fetched to a lot of people because, it's Kentucky. Y'all never do nothing like that, right? But to me, that's what I aspire to see. And to me, with the way, the philosophy of how we recruit, I love some of the recruits we have. I mentioned to you before. I'm still high on Maxwell Harrison. I feel like Harrison's a pro. I feel like Tevin Wallace can be a pro. I feel like Deion Walker's a pro. But they're few and too much like a few in between like the other 9 guys on the field. Not saying those guys are not good, but the philosophy on which you recruit and that you try to build your team, the concepts, they don't fit what's going to work in the SEC. When I watched Alabama struggle against offenses, when I watched Georgia struggle against offenses, right? It's been guys who are mobile and can really move. They can pass, but they can really move. And to me, in college football, not the NFL, college football, if you don't have top tier talent, you're going to need a dynamic quarterback who can do more than just throw the ball. Because what if it's the only thing you do is throw the ball, and you're not, especially because the guys we will get are not like the top of the tide. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're not Caleb Williams. it is what it is.
But if you really look at it, even in the NFL, you're going with those guys that can make plays with their legs. I mean, the least athletic you have is probably, let's see, Joe Burrow actually doesn't have the physical tools like that, but you see they'll call QB design runs because he can actually make those plays. But I mean, even Aaron Rodgers, he's older now, but he was able to move. You got Patrick Mahomes, he's able to move. You got Josh Allen, he's able to move. Tua, he's able to do something with his leg if he don't get a concussion. So I mean, it's going that way even in the NFL. You don't have that statue pocket passer. I feel like the last one of those was probably Tom Brady. So that's something that Kentucky really needs to look at. Richard, it is interesting. I want to hear the Louisville take on, have we reached our ceiling with Stoops? What do you think of Stoops? I know that you guys don't think that he's an elite coach, and that's not what we asking. It's not what we asking right here. But do you think that we've reached a ceiling? Do you think that we should move on? Look, what does the red Kool-Aid say?
Well, first off, let me point out the fact that I think your point awarding system here is biased. You can feel 6 points on one little point.
Hey,
so there ain't no way I'm going to come from that. It's like you
about to lose another one.
But let me make this point. I was talking about how I thought the Alabama game was worse for you all than the Georgia game. Your fans were still in the stand late in the fourth quarter in the Georgia game. You all cleared that stadium out 10 minutes before the fourth quarter was over with. In the y'all only beat Alabama twice in the whole history of your SEC, being in the SEC with Alabama. You've only beat them twice, and the last time you beat them was almost 20 years ago. So that psychologically, you all automatically get into that game thinking, oh, we're going to lose this game. And the only way you're going to get out of that is if the ball starts bouncing your way and the game is close in the fourth quarter. But your fans definitely know that you all weren't going to win that game. They had hope in the Georgia game. That's why I said it was worse. Now, the team is a different thing. The team probably checked out in the Georgia game, but they looked like they had fight in the Alabama game. But your fans didn't believe it, which leads me into the point about Stoops. After 10 years, your fans are looking at Missouri. Well, Missouri's only been in the SEC 11, 12 years, and they've been to the SEC championship game. They've did this and they've did this, but in the same 10-year period, Kentucky hasn't even sniffed close to the SEC championship game. So when it comes to what has Stoops done and have we've reached the ceiling with Stoops, I believe your fans are secretly deep down in your heart realizing that, yes, especially if they see Missouri playing Georgia close, beating the brakes off of Tennessee where you all struggled. And then they got Alabama. Did they play Alabama? I don't know if they play Alabama next or not, but the fact that Missouri is doing so well and that they're ranked high and that they're doing so well, and they basically are the mirror of Kentucky when it comes to recruiting opportunity and who they are and the clout that they have in the SEC. But yet they haven't been in the SEC.
I gotta give you a feel on that.
I'm just saying. That's what I believe. You asked my opinion.
I understand. I will say this. Missouri, they joined in 2012, and they had Gary Pinkel as their coach when they first joined. Of course, he's gone, a legendary coach. But the 2 years that they did go to the SEC Championship game, it was a historically bad SEC East. They did not have a team like the Georgia team. Now, to your point, they capitalized on that, and they made it to the SEC Championship game. Kentucky just wasn't in position to do that just yet because Kentucky hired Mark Stoops just a year later, and they were going through a rebuilding process where they were quoted as saying that, and not just Kentucky coaches, other coaches around the league was quoted as saying Kentucky had mid-major talent in the SEC, and it just wasn't going to happen. So they weren't equipped to capitalize up on that. When they were equipped to capitalize up on that, Georgia was a juggernaut, and so
Missouri.
And I would venture to say that this Missouri team this year is actually on the same level or better than those Missouri teams. Definitely on offense. This Missouri offense is better than the offenses that Gary Pinkel had. I'll definitely say that.
Okay, so
defense, maybe not, because they did have they had a rush of some pretty elite pass rushers that came through there in that time and that made it in the first round of the NFL draft. I don't know that Missouri actually has that, but their defense now is not bad at all. It's still one of the best in SEC. So I would venture to say that this is probably a better Missouri team than those, but they're not going to make it to the SEC Championship game because guess what? The SEC East is not down like that. You see Georgia, who Georgia is. Go ahead.
Right, there's no way they're going to make it this year. But let's talk about the year that Gary Pinkel was at Missouri and they came into the SEC.
Okay.
What kind of talent level did Missouri have at that point compared to all the other teams in the SEC? Even though SEC was on a down, what kind of talent did they have? Did they have SEC quality talent? Apparently, either they did or they didn't, but yet they still made it to the SEC championship game. Going through the East, going through the traditional powers in the East, like Florida at that time, Tennessee, Georgia at that time. So either they had a more talented team than everybody in the SEC to get to that point, or they had the same kind of, as you say, tier 2 talent or what was mid-major talent in the first place. Because like I said, this is Gary Pinkel, and they're coming out of the Big 12.
Hold on. Okay. So go ahead, PJ. What's your take?
No, I was gonna say they was coming out of Big 12, and as you mentioned, saying again what Will said about what the staffs, how they evaluated our teams as far as the talent level. I'll venture to say that them coming into the SEC, at the least they had better talent than we had. You know what I'm saying? They had better talent than we did because that is what it is. At that time too, even the Big 12 was a little bit better than what it is right now. But I'll say this is that again, alluding to Will's point, is our goal, our aspirations is not what Mizzou's doing. Again, this is 1 year. Again, as he mentioned, they're not going to the SEC Championship game. No other team, we're not allowed to take moral victories, but y'all will let Mizzou take moral victories. I don't care about the differential in losses. I do notice that we got beat by a lot of points against Georgia and Alabama. I can't say about it. I mean, we got dominated. Everybody sees that. But I'm also not celebrating the fact that my team lost by 9 points. I don't care. I'm not celebrating that we lost by 7 against Tennessee when I knew that we had a chance to beat them. I'm not celebrating that. So that's us wanting to be like Mizzou. That doesn't make sense to me, and that's not what it is. What fans are seeing, what fans are upset about has nothing to actually do with Mizzou. It has everything to do with Stoops. As far as right now, it's becoming like a realization, right? We talk about realization, right? They come to this revelation that we may have reached our ceiling as far as what he will be here at UK. When you see the philosophies, when you see the constant stuff, right, consistently every year, it's like it's the same thing. As you mentioned, we beat those teams. Like, to me, Alabama, Tennessee, we're not going to beat those teams. Everybody on our schedule, Tennessee, we had a chance to beat them. Mizzou, we had a chance to beat them. We're going to win our last 2 games. Like, everybody else will take care of it. When we get into those big games, as y'all mentioned, we build up the anticipation to play Georgia, mollywop. People become tired of that. And I think it's, as I mentioned before, it is safe to celebrate how far we have come. Because even as Louisville fans, y'all have to agree. You can't just be dismissive of the fact that we've been a lot better as a program in totality than what we have been in previous years. I spent the first 85% of my lifetime watching us get blown out by 40 against everybody.
Yep.
So the tuna has changed, but I'm also not satisfied with that.
All right, let's go ahead and switch gears. Gears. That was my little buzzer. Time's up because we got to move on. We need to talk about Louisville.
I wanted to add one little thing.
Okay, and we've got the prodigal son. He left and then came back. Look at him. Go ahead, Perry.
Their offense in the SEC.
Back off your mic a little bit.
Had 7,000 yards total. That's not a weak offense. I just wanted to point that out. I'm looking at the stats now. They had two quarterbacks together that threw 3,500 yards, and the running backs ran for 3,500 yards.
Yeah, their offense. You talking about Gary Pinkel's offense?
Yeah, you were saying their
Yeah.
offense wasn't that good. I'm saying,
No,
they,
no, no. I didn't say the offense wasn't that good. I said this year's offense is probably better than those. I feel like this year's offense was better than those offenses.
I don't think it was, but all right, move forward.
All right, all right. So let's talk about Louisville because you guys almost had ACC Championship title hopes dashed against Virginia, but you guys outlasted Virginia. So what it looks like it needs to happen now? Your last game. Who's your last game against, guys? Your last game is
It's Kentucky. Our last
Okay.
ACC game is
no,
Miami.
your
But
last
our
game is
last.
against Miami. So you guys have to beat Miami, but then also you guys are battling basically North Carolina for that next spot. You know, North Carolina. I guess North Carolina has two losses in the ACC. They're 4-2. You guys are 6-1 right now, but North Carolina still has a chance to make it into that championship.
Well,
They have 2 games left.
Go ahead.
They have
Okay.
to, they have to win.
Mm-hmm.
We If we lose to Miami, then we automatically become the biggest Clemson and NC State fans. We play first at 12 p.m. on this coming Saturday,
All
and
right.
they play the later game. If we win, we're just in. Winning, you're
Got you.
in.
Yep, because they have to play Clemson and they have to play NC State, so they got to get past those two squads. I don't think that they get past Clemson. What you got to say about that, Richard?
well, I don't care what North got to do. I'm so when it comes to stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
you control your destiny. You got to do everything else. It's over with to me at that point. So we
I
need to
got you.
beat Miami. And that's what we've always figured before we got before the Duke North Carolina game in the first place. Hey, we take care of our own, and if we take care of our own, we're shoe in. So that to me, all this clinching stuff. The only team that really clinched anything was Florida State because they're undefeated.
Yeah.
We, on the other hand, we should have never dropped that game to Pitt. But now
Mm-hmm.
that we did, we take care of our own business, beat Miami, then we're in. Now that's going to be a tough game because we play at Miami and seeing what Miami how they gave Florida State all sorts of fits this weekend. That is going to be a harder game than I thought. I
Yeah.
thought we matched up pretty well against Miami, but after seeing, I get maybe it's the power of the rivalry game, which makes the UK U of L game. It's not going to be an automatic for UK because if we see how rivalries go after seeing what Miami did, that hey, this is a whole totally different battle. But getting
I'll
ready for
say
the Miami
this.
game,
I'll say this though. Your the ESPN matchup predictor actually has Miami winning that game over
yeah,
Louisville.
I
How do
don't
you see
blame them. I don't blame them.
Perry? How do you see that game going?
I mean, it's been like that from day one since the season started. They've been favored over us. At one point, it was like if you look at Sagarin's, it was like 90%. Miami wins. And
Gotcha.
it started shrinking and shrinking until finally we were close to like +3. But their defense is legit. They've got an SEC defensive line. I think their offense is going to shake. It's gonna be shaky because they're bringing in a quarterback who they lost confidence in. So now that the quarterback that they replaced him with in the middle of not even in the middle of the season, like 2 games, maybe a game ago, they replaced them. It's gonna be interesting.
PJ, it looks like that you have something to say. It looked like that you had something on your mind. Go ahead, man.
No, I just it's weird. It's just always funny. The comparison is always the SEC. It's just funny. But I think Louisville wins the game. When I
Okay.
watched FSU and Miami won, I think there are about 5 other teams, maybe 6, that are better than FSU. Don't buy it at all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I also think that Miami, they are solid, but I think that Louisville has enough. I think Louisville definitely has enough to handle business. Now, the hardest part about it is that I believe it's an away game, correct?
Mhm.
So that's always going to be tough. Any conference game on the road is going to be tough, especially when there's when there's comparable talent, right?
Yeah.
But even those games where there's like less talent, right? It's still hard to go on the road and win games. And so I think for Louisville, the biggest thing is being consistent for 4 quarters. Like I think they can lose if they go into that whole thing like with Virginia where they play really well and then they have that stretch where it's like, which I don't see them viewing Miami in the same way they view Virginia. So I expect
Mm-hmm.
I expect Louisville to pull out the win, maybe by like I think probably about I would say 7. I think they got them at like 7 for me. I think they should win the game.
I'll say this. I'm sitting up here looking at Van Dyke's stats right now. 16 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That man is a turnover machine. I think that the way that Louisville plays in the back end, I think that you guys will probably pick them at least once in this game. I got Louisville winning as well. I do see that the odds bets right now on ESPN has Louisville as a 1.5 favorite. Not an underdog, 1.5 favorite, even though the matchup predictor has you guys losing. So, I mean, that's a good thing. Predict the score. Let me hear the score prediction from you, Perry.
Miami 28, Louisville 14.
28-14. And what's the key to the game, do you think?
Louisville's ability to be consistent. Simple as that. Stay focused. Not even consistency, focus. They lost focus against Virginia.
I told the guys that you guys played a good first half, and then that third quarter, you guys stunk up the joint, and Virginia scored 21 points.
First half. I just disagree.
What I mean by that is you guys were basically winning the game, doing what you were supposed to do. Was it spectacular performance? Maybe not, but you guys were doing what you're supposed to do as far as winning the game. The third quarter is when you guys really stunk it up, and they scored 21 points. I thought that it was going to be one of those games where it was a tale of two halves, but you guys pulled it together in the fourth quarter. So when you say consistency for the Miami game, I 100% agree with you on that. 100%. So, Richard, I gotta ask you the same question, my man. You go ahead.
I think the score is going to be 24-7 or 24-10. I'm going to go with Louisville.
Okay.
The reason why I think this, it's all going to come down to Jack Plummer. Like I keep saying, he is our weakest link. We go with him, and this is a pressure situation. This is down here in Miami. This is going to be a lot of crowd noise, a lot of pressure. And Miami, I'm going to disagree with Phil on the attitude part of Louisville. This is not any other team in the ACC. Miami's always been one of those teams that we always come up for. It's a Florida team. We got a lot of guys on our team from Florida, and it's always been one of those. We got to show that our Florida guys are better than your Florida guys. Our guys played with your guys. It's going to be a competition. So it's not going to be a problem with us coming out here dismissing Miami. The problem is going to be is when we get down here and we make a mistake, how quickly can we recompose and regroup? If we can recompose and regroup in hostile territory. Now, this is going to be kind of like the NC State game, whether who's going to make the last play, who's going to make the last big play, I think. I say 24-10, being the fact that the points are probably going to come at the end of the game in the last few minutes in the fourth quarter. It's probably going to be a close game because both defenses are good.
All right. Richard got all that in. All right, no time left for PJ. I'm going to go ahead and let you get your prediction on this game.
Yeah. First, I want to say I never said they weren't going to come up for that game. I said they will. I said that mindset will be different for Miami than it was for Virginia. Where Virginia, it looked very like the energy didn't seem like it was there. So I expect y'all to come out with that energy against Miami. That's what I was saying.
I agree.
But I'm looking at it at a around a, I would say 28-20. Give me 28-21. I'm thinking I really want to go 31 to like 24 or 21 Louisville winning. I think the offense is good enough to do what it does. I'm not confident in Miami's offense. I think Miami's offense is subpar, and I don't trust Van Dyke at all. So when I say I'm subpar, it's because of Van Dyke, not because of the other guys' skill positions. It's Van Dyke.
Well, I mean that's kind of where I was alluding to. When I look, I see 16 TDs and 12 interceptions, and it's like that's almost a 1-to-1 ratio. Like he's gonna throw a pick. Yeah, so all right, so let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit. Hey guys, just like we've been saying, go ahead and contact me at hold on, let me get myself on the screen first. Well, I'll say this right there, Will E Dubs on Twitter. And then also, like I said, you guys can be part of the discussion. Go ahead and hit us up right there on Facebook or YouTube, however you're looking at us, watching this right now. We appreciate you for joining us. And let's go keep it moving. Up next, let's talk about Louisville basketball. Let's get some basketball in here. Now, here's a good question for my panelists right here. We have this it's I'm not gonna say it's safe to say it's disappointing to see Kenny Payne's performance at this point. PJ, I think you said on Twitter that what makes it even worse or something like that. What makes it even worse is that even Billy Gillispie performed better at Kentucky than what Kenny Payne is doing there at Louisville. You guys dropped another home game. Who was you guys playing, Perry? I know you remember.
Chattanooga.
Yeah, you guys dropped a home game to Chattanooga, and I believe it was one of the early boys that's coaching the team as well. The hope that Louisville will get back to being the elite program that it was underneath Kenny Payne is just it's being less and less. Do you think that it can happen? And if it happens, is it underneath him or is it underneath another coach? What do you think that he needs to do, Perry?
This day and age, we are in a microwave society. Rick Pitino used to complain about that all the time, that everybody is living in a microwave society. They want it now. You know, if you're an elite program, you got for your recruiting profile, for how you appear in the polls and all of it, it's very important, the perception of your program. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important that we get back to a level. And it's like Kenny Payne's not going there nowhere soon. Him, Danny Manning, you got two big men coaches. They're supposed to be premier big men coaches. And it's not showing up at all on the court. You know, just I can go into detail, but I won't for the sake of I just got dinged. But no, man.
Well, no, I was just
it's not happening, man.
So okay, so I see you say that, Richard. What do you think is his biggest issue at Louisville? What does you think is his biggest issue? How come is not transferring on the court? Is it because he didn't surround himself with good enough assistants? Is it his coaching style? Period. What do you see is his biggest issue there?
It's coaching style. It's got to be his coaching style because some of the fundamentals I don't see. Stuff like learning how to pass. Stuff like, ooh, is there something wrong with that? There you go. Like you talking to my mouth. Okay, let me get this straight. Learning how to pass. Learning how to, learning how to get the ball around, close in on the shooter, stuff like that. Stuff like this stuff is coaching all the way around. Whether it's coaching, getting the right assistants to help you pass that along or what. But the thing I wanted to point out there is with the right hire, you could turn a program around within 2 years, 1 or 2 years. Look what happened when you all brought in Calipari after y'all got rid of Gillespie. It didn't take 4 years to turn that program around. He turned that program around year one. When he brought in Wall and Cousins and all that was year one. So in most cases, you get the right hire, especially with Louisville as a blue chip program. You get the right hire, you can turn that program around in 2 years or less. So I'm not worried about that. It's just getting the right hire. But Kenny got to go. I could only watch 4 possessions of the Louisville Chattanooga game, and I turned it off. So I can't help you with highlights. I can't because I was that disgusted with the product I saw out there on the floor. And I'll be the first one to tell everybody I was giving Kenny Payne. Remember you asked this question? Hey, he get to the Kentucky game. I think he easily should be able to win these games. No.
What did I say?
No. He got to go. I'm sorry, brother. You got to go.
So you're not. So okay. So Perry, all right. We hear Richard. You're not giving him any more time. Perry, you're not giving him any more time either.
That brother got to go, man. That brother got to go. Call me whatever you want. Crab mentality. Call me whatever you want. That brother got to go.
Oh. Okay, you gonna find your face on the poster with Daniel Cameron.
No, because I supported the brother up front. Big different story if I was on him the moment he got here. No, I was in that man's camp. That man had me drinking the Kool-Aid when they beat Simmons in college. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get 15 wins. I'll be the first one to tell you I was supporting that brother all the way. But after what I saw in 4 possessions in the Louisville Chattanooga game, I'm done. He got to go. I'm sorry, brother.
All right.
And when you said what he needs to do, he needs to get on the press conference and say, all right, as Louisville coach, I'm going to resign. That's what he needs to do.
PJ, go ahead. Give us your take.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think so. It's hard to compare.
Look at that big smile on his face. He's
no,
so happy
it's
Louisville's scrappy.
No. I'm laughing at like I feel like y'all going through something and seeing something from a place that we was able to see it from. Now, of course, on different levels, right?
Yeah.
Like when we had Cal come in, the difference between Cal and Kenny is one. Cal came into Kentucky. The only issue that we had at Kentucky was the fact that we had a bad coach. Kenny came into a program that had scandals, a coach who, even with Mac, who quit midway through the season because of reasons I'm not going to say that might get this thing blocked that are political. And then you're expecting him to turn it all around, get these players when guys had years on relationships with these guys. It's hard to do that. When you came with John's first year, one, he was already head coach at a program that was doing really well. He had already built a relationship with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, so they were coming regardless once he switched over, right? Like it's apples and oranges. So even how you view things how guys should be progressing. I was just telling some Louisville fans that I'm friends with about Dennis. And I said, listen, I tried to tell y'all before the season started, Dennis is going to be good, but he's going to take time. It's going to take time. No matter how much you hate to hear that, I don't care where he was ranked. He's only been playing basketball for a couple years. It's going to take time. We've seen that with Anthony Davis. Yeah, he had some moments, but it still took him time. Even Carl Towns wanted to be a perimeter player. He wanted to be a small forward. And Kenny Payne and Cal said, no, where you're going to make money is when you show them, because back then it wasn't modern basketball what it is now, right? Back in 2015. He said, where you're going to make money is showing them that you can make that hook shot at a 75, 80% rate. And guess what they did? They put him on a block and forced him to be aggressive. They forced him to build on and expound on his game on that way. And
Anthony Davis?
helped him out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
And it showed mostly at the end of the season. By the end of the season, I mean, man, if you get the ball on the block, he gets a nice little one dribble down, dig in. He's 85% of the time he's making a shot. So it takes time.
So okay. So here's the question though. Are you not giving Kenny Payne any more time at Louisville though? It's the two Louisville fans here are like they're done with him.
I get it. I think I understand why you wouldn't, because I think it's more than just Kenny. It's been what's been happening for the last 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's enough is enough. And so, as you mentioned, it is microwave society. You want to see instant success and gratitude, and you want to see changes. And right now, it is hard when you watch them play to see, like, okay, what has really changed? I think if I was a Louisville fan, I would probably right. If I was a Louisville fan, I'll probably say it's time for him to go. But me, as a college fan, I feel like you have to give him to the end of the season to see how it shakes out.
They're going to give him.
We ain't got no choice to give him to the end of the season. That's the problem.
Because we got no choice. He's going to get it because of DEI and all sort of stuff. But
no, who's going to take over for him? There's nobody. Yeah. You going to let Nolan?
I say this because we got 10 seconds left. I think his biggest issue is who he surrounded himself in the program. He's a rookie coach. I know he needed his top-notch recruiters. You got your big man, Danny Manning, that's supposed to be coaching up your big man. Perry, I think that you were spot on. That really hasn't come to fruit. You haven't seen any fruits of that labor at all. But you should have had a strong X and O's coach, a strong defensive coach, whatever you need to pick up where your weaknesses are. He didn't have that. Somebody that could really help carry him through, almost so to speak. One of my favorite coaches that is not winning a whole lot because of where he's at is Jerry Stackhouse. But when you look at his offensive game, his offensive sets and things that he's running, the other coaches in circles that they're raving about, Calipari is raving about, it's not really his X's and O's. It's what's the assistant coach on his staff, PJ? You know what I'm talking about.
Talking about Will?
Steakhouse.
Oh, you talking about Chin Coleman and
No, on Stackhouse's roster.
Oh yes.
I forgot his name, but he's the one that's really calling all that stuff. And so that right there is what Kenny Payne is missing. I go back to Rick Pitino, and everybody wants to say how Rick Pitino's coaching tree is long, and they're comparing coaching trees. The thing about Rick Pitino is he doesn't hire weak coaches. Like with Calipari, he'll hire a coach. This person is just for my recruiting purposes. All right, I'm gonna be the bad guy. He's gonna be the good guy type of guy. Other than that, they're probably not that great a coach for real. Let's be honest. We got Chin Coleman. Yes, I called him out. But when it comes to Rick Pitino, even when in 96, 90 was it 93 to 96 or whatever, his coaching staff that he had, everybody became head coaches. Did they all run his system? No, they didn't. Tubby Smith never ran his system. When you talk to Tubby Smith, who his influences were, Pitino wasn't on the list. But he was strong X and O's guy. Just about every single one of those guys was really, really strong in something. And they had pretty good careers. Move on up to when he was at Louisville, it was sort of the same thing. You know, and he's never going to be caught without a really good staff. You know, and Calipari, he was caught without a good staff and once before. Now he's trying to rebuild it up because he knows, okay, I'm only as good as my assistant coaches. I can't do this whole thing myself. When I look at Kenny Payne, I'm just like, I see the recruiters. Past that, I see the guy that's supposed to help with the big men. Past that, I don't see much else, you know. So, but that subject is going to ad nauseam. Does anybody disagree with that though?
No, I don't. I can't too much disagree.
All right.
I would just add that, you know, when you saw the game the other day, them dudes don't even know how to guard, and he's trying to do some things that might be revolutionary to him. And having all these big men on the floor, all these 6'7", and then just two guards, and then switching on everything. But teams are just pump faking, lifting the guy up in front of him, going around, completely unbalanced. And it was just so retarded. And it's like, then you had to take a step back and remember there are a lot of first-year players that he's got on the court, you know, and you spend like 2 years in college just getting people to learn how to guard in college, you know, and in this microwave society, not just for fans, but for the players themselves, if you're trying to recruit and do everything the John Cal way, you don't have 2 years. Those guys want to get to the pros. They want to get to the NBA after year one. Some of them are even saying it. Oh, he recruited me to become a guard, and I'm going to be a guard, and I'm going to the NBA as a guard in 2 years. And so that whole situation is just messed up because unfortunately, he's getting good players, but he's not getting the top players in the class like Calipari. So it's not going to work, whatever he's trying to do.
So let me ask y'all this. Let's segue into the next the next topic. Everybody's talking about the ACC basketball being down. Is the ACC basketball conference down? And if it is down, does that actually help Kenny Payne out? I mean, because if he's really not that great, and the team is not going to be that great, maybe that can help you guys pass. What you got, 4 wins last year? Maybe you guys can get past that.
The MAC could be down.
Perry, what say ye?
The MAC could be down, and he ain't going to win. I mean, that's how bad it is when you getting housed on your home floor by you know. Oh my goodness!
Tennessee, Chattanooga,
Kentucky Wesleyan, a team that hadn't had a winning season in X amount of man. Nah, man.
You don't see it
I don't
happening.
even want to talk about it no more. Let's talk about UK. Look, Louisville fans that want to talk about the University of Kentucky.
No, we don't.
Could you imagine that?
Richard, does that help you guys out at all? Does it help Kenny Payne out at all?
And then ACC being down. I mean, typically, how many teams get into the NCAA tournament from the ACC on a good season? 6, 7, 8,
somewhere around there.
Yeah. So I mean, we got 6 teams, in the is it 6 teams in the top 25 still? So I mean, down. That's marginal. I mean, let's see what happens at the end of the season. When it comes to basketball, let's see what happens at the end of the season. How many teams actually get into the tournament, and then how far do they get in the tournament? Then you can tell me it's down.
Let's answer this question first. PJ, why do we even say that ACC is down? I mean, is the ACC down at all, really? And why?
2 games into the season, where you get the notion?
Well, I think it comes from a sense of for a while there. I mean, you got to give it when you talk about the height of it. When I was talking to my friends about a couple that was explaining the rivalry. I was telling them how much I think UK and Louisville at their top, like when they're at their best, is a better rivalry than Duke and North Carolina, because it means more to us as fans because we only play one game a year. So they over there buddy and would rather see us lose where we're not rooting for Louisville, right? And they're not rooting for us, right? Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But they'll be happy if they all beat Kentucky, whichever way. So, but during those time periods, you had the teams you just mentioned along with Syracuse, right? Along with not Syracuse, Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame, who was playing pretty well, right? You did have Syracuse, yeah. You did have Syracuse who was doing well. You have Florida State who was doing well, right? And this is including Virginia and Louisville and Duke and North Carolina. Miami was kind of hovering, but they weren't really there yet to what they are now. But you have VTech who will come out of nowhere and do some stuff. You had North Carolina State who had some players and they had some high-end recruits with Dennis Smith, like that they were, they had 9 teams. You had like nine teams that were on average that were making it right at that point.
Right.
You're down to really if you really watch college basketball and you see the teams who are actually
mostly 7 and 8 teams though, really
7 and 8 teams.
By the time at the end of the season, when you get into the tournament, ACC averages about 7 teams into the tournament.
So
right now
you really have 4.
Got you. So that's the reason why you say they're down.
Right now,
because you have right. I'm talking right now. That's what I'm talking about right now. We're saying right now, are they down? Yes. Last year was a horrible year. This year looks like it's going to be just as horrible because right now you have North Carolina, right? You have Duke. Duke's gonna do well. I think Virginia's going to do well. Again, I mentioned on in the group chat. I'm not going to say it here publicly, but they have a situation they got to address here soon next year. And then you have Miami, who should be really, really good, right? After that, it's a drop. I think Syracuse can be good. They got some.
Is Jim Boeheim he's still there? Did he retire?
They have some good pros. They have some guys that can really play, but also a new era of basketball for them. And it takes some time to adjust. I think Syracuse could eventually do well, but really outside of that, when you look at Wake Forest, they have some hot scorers, man, but they're not a good team. You look at Louisville, what they're doing. You look at a lot of these other teams. It's down, man. It's not good at all.
Well, Perry. I mean, you got a new coach over there in Syracuse. I mean, that could spell some good things for Kenny Payne, man. You still don't think so?
No. I'm saying Kenny Payne ain't doing nothing. Let's just take him out of the conversation. We need to stop referring to that man as a coach and refer to him as soon to be fired coach.
So let me ask you. That's what I was getting ready to ask you next. So do you think that the rumors, talking about that this will be his last year or whatnot, do you think that anything has already happened with Josh Hurd in the back channels?
If I've seen some rumors online about Josh Hurd being sort of under fire. So
oh really?
It remains to be seen. I'm not trying to blow anything up or anything. It's just rumors that a lot of the boosters have gone to him.
Gotcha.
Because like I said, what we're seeing is not what you want to see out of a top 10 all-time program. It's not what you want to see.
Yeah.
And I hesitate to think that we don't want to get in a situation like Indiana where they were in the wilderness forever and ever, and they're just now coming out with Mike Woodson.
You know what? And I think that's a good comparison to make because I mean, just because you're at the top, like Indiana, they're considered a blue blood. At least they were considered a blue blood. A lot of people has dropped them off of that. You can have that law for so long to where you're not even that program anymore, and that could be you guys. And it's not all on Kenny Payne, but you guys gone through so many years of the scandals and the I don't know if you guys went on probation or whatnot and things like that.
Still stayed competitive. Chris Mack had us ranked number 1 for 2 straight weeks.
Yeah, but I'm just saying what
last year.
What ends up happening though with the fan base, I think with your fan base, it just got tired of everything and kind of checked out for a while. And then you come with your last coach that you had, and he quits in the middle of the season on you guys. Then you hire Kenny Payne, and it just hasn't turned out the way it should have turned out. It should have started anyway, so. You guys don't want that lull to be too long before you guys not, because I consider Louisville. To me, you're not a blue blood, but you're that next tier. You're a top 10 program to me. But that is not a backhanded compliment. That's not a backhanded compliment.
It is. It's not a backhanded compliment. As of today, we're still one of the top 10 programs in the nation as far as
because everybody defines blue blood differently. We'll just leave it at that.
We're not ready for it. Let's discuss that on the next show. What about?
All right, we can discuss that. We can discuss that on the next show. We can discuss that. It wasn't supposed to be an insult. All right.
I just wanted to add one small thing, and that's
go ahead.
That Payne has to learn how to be a coach, and that's fine on a lower level. He didn't have that opportunity.
Well, that right there is what I was talking about with the assistants that he has surrounded himself with. Somebody that has been a head coach before that helped him navigate through the whole ordeal. He did get Danny Manning. He's been a head coach before, but that's not a good example.
Danny Manning. Yeah, exactly. Because of what happened in Wake Forest.
Maybe it's Louisville ourselves. We give opportunities to those type of people who get the first coaching opportunity. And we've had success in the past, and maybe we thought this would be a success for us this time. Charlie Strong, Bobby Petrino, we gave him his first head coaching job. So, and we've had success in that. And then when we gave David Padgett interim, we had success, although albeit limited for his first coaching. He did pretty good, in my opinion. And maybe it's Louisville's culture. We thought, hey, he's a good name. He's a legend, Louisville legend, and he's, tutelage done, sat under the foot of some of the best coaches in the country. So he should be able to be good for a first coach. And look at, like I said, Charlie Strong, number 1 right there, gave him his first coaching opportunity. Yep. Maybe it's Louisville and the fact that that's what we do.
Hey, let's go ahead and
revise that.
Let's go ahead and I need to work on my transitions. I know, but let's go ahead and move it on. Let's start it off. PJ, we got a surprise recruit. I didn't think that he was going to commit to Kentucky. I thought that he was kind of off of Kentucky's radar, but Travis Perry. What can you tell us about Travis Perry?
Yeah, I mean, Travis definitely, of course, he's like the all-time leading scorer right now for most points scored right in high school basketball for the state of Kentucky, I believe.
Okay.
It was a shock. I was told by someone that he literally changed his mind this morning.
Really?
It was expected Cincinnati or Ole Miss was where he expected it was going to go. And this morning he decided against it. I think he was reassured because I think from my understanding, his whole game plan was go to UC, go to Ole Miss, and then transfer to UK after playing a season 2 there because he feels like going to UK right now, of course, with the guys they have, supposedly is going to be in the classes.
Yeah. He
didn't know how to work out with him in playing time. I think Cal reassured him that you'll have a shot, you'll have a shot to prove something. And I think it's also fired up. He's a Kentucky kid. There's 13 scholarships, bro. 13 scholarships. I don't mind him being on the team. Now, I know that he's probably not going to play as much as like we're going to see like a Reed in them play, right? But
yeah,
he could develop into something, decent. When I say, I put it in tiers like this. Derek, what's his name? Is it
Reed?
No, I'm Darius Miller. Darius Miller's up here. You got Jared Paulson down here, right? Yeah. You got Reed. I think it's up there near
Goodman or Good. What was the other one?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, PJ. I'll tell you this, Phil. I was reading something, and one of the analysts said that he's not Reed Shepherd, he's not Darius Miller, he's not on that level, but he is better than your Dante Allen's. Right. And he said that if he can come in and be what Dominique Hawkins was, it's a good recruit for us. Is that about where you're
exactly, at? Yes, not exactly as far as Dominique is going to be, was more defensive too as well. So we know he's not going to be on that level at all.
Oh yeah, he does. He looks like he's more offensive oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, with impact, I agree with.
Yeah, with impact. Yeah, that's what we're talking about with impact. We're not talking about type of player. Yeah.
Yeah. Impact for sure. So it was definitely surprising. Also, I think it's also safe to note that UK hasn't released. Usually they do like a video when the guys have signed. Yeah. They're clearly waiting on somebody else, and my hope is that they're waiting on JQ, that he will be signing hopefully this week and that before Wednesday, and they'll have him in the coop. But Travis definitely was that was a shock to me that he's coming to UK. I know people in the mountains are excited. They got
shock me at all. It didn't shock me at all.
You already know. You already know they're excited.
Shock me at all. I don't understand how y'all shocked, because I'm like, every kid in the mountains wants to go to University of Kentucky. The fact that it didn't shock me at all. And the poor guys will probably ride the bench for his whole career. He probably should have went to Ole Miss or Cincinnati. But the key is Ole Miss and Cincinnati were his two choices. Mm-hmm. If you didn't have a choice to go to UNC or Duke or UCLA, then it already lets me know his talent level. I mean, y'all can hype him up and pump him up all you want to, but he's the next Derek Hood or whoever the guy was. Y'all had one. I don't want to get into politics, but y'all had one guy that was a McDonald's All-American and didn't play a lick, and so
that he was from Kentucky.
From Kentucky.
Was that Hood?
What was the guy's name?
He's talking about. I think he's talking about John Hood.
Yes.
Yeah, because you ain't talking about Derek Willis.
He was supposed to be the great hype, but he didn't work out.
No, but also I will say,
you are watching your mouth.
I also got to give it to Travis. I think though, difference in John Hood is that Travis has went on the circuit, and he's proven himself. When you talk about recruiting, man, I think this is where y'all miss and understand the value of relationships. UC and Ole Miss were not the only schools. Indiana was recruiting him too. They were recruiting him, but Cincinnati and Ole Miss is where the relationships were. So that's why they were the last two remaining schools with Kentucky. Now, again, as you're right, every Kentucky kid wants to go to Mountain kid wants to go to Kentucky. I agree with that. But the reason why it's shocking is because on our standpoint, and people follow balls and all this stuff, he was going to Ole Miss or UC because Kentucky was like, we're about to get Caleb Wilson, who comment like these other top guys. So it's like, why would he come here?
Right.
And those guys are going to be
I'm glad for y'all, man. I'm genuinely happy for y'all. When y'all
we're not excited, we're just shocked.
When y'all get shocked or excited over a recruit, whatever you want.
Not excited.
Look at this right here. He's sarcasm at his best.
I gotta be happy for somebody.
I'm gonna give you a point for that. It's Deacon, and he got his suit on, and he's trying to be godly and don't want to talk bad. So he's gonna say, "I'm happy for you."
Bless your enemies. What's the Bible say? Bless your enemies. Love them.
Because people have a hard time understanding.
Go ahead, PJ.
Let me help out real quick. Is that this? No one, you're not going to find, only people you're going to find excited about Travis Perry coming to UK are from the mountains. If you even go on Twitter,
I agree.
Everybody's like, wow. Like, that's their response. Now, they feel the same thing. This is a kid that's probably going to be here for 4 years. And eventually, by his senior year, we'll be able to be a guy that can come in and who can shoot the three.
He'll be gone in 2 years.
No, he'll stick around because
the new environment suggests that he'll be gone in 2 years. No, if he really wants to play basketball and he cares about his career. So here's the thing.
I kind of agree with that actually.
Kentucky. To me, clearly he wants to play at Kentucky, and I think Cal's not going to be here for 3+ years. So that means that he's going to have a new coach and have a chance to do something when that new coach shows up as well.
My question is he going to be like your boy that transferred here from Iowa and all of a sudden couldn't shoot in games? What's his name? Give me his name.
CJ
I
Frederick.
didn't even remember his name.
Yeah,
Never
CJ
wanted him.
Frederick.
CJ
Because
Frederick. Never wanted him.
and the reason why I say that is because CJ Frederick, he transferred back to Kentucky because he always wanted to play at Kentucky. Then after a while, he's just like, all right, this ain't gonna work. Transfers out, he goes to Cincinnati, and
transfer rules,
the first
man.
2 games so far, he's been doing much better than he was at Kentucky, offensively. And so it just makes me wonder if Travis Perry, if it don't work out about sophomore year, that transfer portal, he get the transfer portal itch. It's like, all right, I done had my run. Let's go ahead and see what we can do at Western Kentucky or something like that.
Yeah. It's not just Travis Perry though. I mean, it's any player in college right now. The portal is no longer an obstacle. You had to sit out a year. That's no longer an obstacle.
That's true.
If you feel in the slightest that you should be doing more, you're out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's go ahead and end it here. Do a preview of the Champions Classic because Kentucky plays in the Champions Classic. Play number one? Are they number one? Kansas in the Champions Classic, which would be a pretty good game. We have to have a big man that comes back. If we don't have a big man that's playing other than Mitchell, then I think that we're going to be. It's not going to be a good look for us.
I don't feel it with that guy from Michigan. I don't feel it with him.
Say it again.
Did anybody watch the game between them and Illinois? Anybody watch the clips from that? Anybody watch? It's a full game. It's on YouTube.
No, I didn't watch it.
I watched.
They had an exhibition game against Illinois and they lost. And I
really
think it was not. Yeah, shocker, right? That you can watch an exhibition game. They're supposed to be top secret, but now all of a sudden, no more. But anyways,
They was mollywopped the whole game.
Charity games are considered to be
charity game. That's how you do it.
They're about to move to that whole preseason games, so which is going to be good for the league overall.
Yeah, it should be like
good
that
for
anyway.
The fans.
That's great.
Yeah, but it wasn't close
fans,
at all.
TV,
Illinois
all
was whooping them.
Yeah,
all right.
And I'm just like, the dude didn't make a difference like I thought. He shot a lot of 3-pointers. I think he's trying to open up his offense, but I was just shocked. I'm just like, I was expecting Kansas to be more and Illinois to be less, and here Illinois is beating them, soundly. Kansas had to make a little comeback, to make it,
So we're saying that Kansas isn't as good as they should be as the number one team?
It's 2 games into the season. You never know, man.
Yeah, you never know. Phil, go ahead and give me your take. I know you're chomping at the bit to talk.
Yeah, no, I would say Hunter is good. I think he's the reason why he's not in the NBA is the same reason why you see him struggle with certain teams like Illinois, who have a guy who's willing to go out there and guard him. Like, to me, that's why I kind of will. I ain't gonna lie. I think us having a big man may help, but I don't think that's the end all because he's going to struggle defensively against us because you have a guy who can dribble the ball and a guy that can shoot the ball, and he's going to take him out of the paint and force him to guard. Now, with Illinois is actually a solid team. They actually, to me, they have some guys who are just very aggressive. They're meant to get out there. They're not going to be a team, I think, that goes to the Elite Eight or anything like that. But they're one of those teams that just they play hard and their coaches hard. They're going to be there with teams. And if you come out against like Kansas, where you're not making shots, which is their biggest thing, they weren't making any shots for real, especially from 3-point line. They're going to struggle. But gotcha. I think this game overall is going to be solid. It's going to be definitely solely about who's making threes. I think that's where it's going to come down to. Because I think Kansas has of course, they have a championship-led point guard who's won the national championship, right? Who's still there after 12 years. Who's a really good defender, a really good distributor, and then where it helps us is that he's not really typically a good scorer, right? Mm-hmm. He'll go gain 0 points and 12, 13 assists and play really, really good defense. So it's going to be the matchup between him and DJ and Rob is going to be fun to watch. I think the big thing for us, I've heard little whispers that Aaron Bradshaw will be available for the game Tuesday.
I need to ask about that. I didn't know that.
But I think I'm okay with the starting 5. If we're going with that starting 5, I think I'm okay with going into that game with this because we're playing the long game.
Mm-hmm. The matchup predictor.
We're playing house money right now.
I'll tell you,
lose this game.
The ESPN matchup predictor has a 74.7% chance that Kansas wins. Kentucky has a 25.3% chance of winning in this game. So it'll be very interesting.
It's just awesome to have a basketball program that you could look forward to watching on TV and stuff. You're not being embarrassed.
So
I mean, that's just awesome, man.
I'm giving you points just for that. You get another point for that.
Y'all doing it. Y'all doing it. It's awesome to not be disgusted.
Yeah, we used to be like
4
that.
minutes into a game,
we used to be able to have something to cheer for all year round. But those were the good old days.
But also
so Richard, do I see envy in your eyes? Is that what I see in your eyes?
No. We commend our rival because as the saying goes, a rising tide raises all boats. So what's good for you will be good for the rest of the state. So I'm happy for y'all. Yay. So it gives us more to talk about, more to laugh at when y'all fall on your face. But I'm glad. I'm glad that y'all got both. And you all should be happy that both your football and your basketball has something worthy to go out and see. It's been a long time. Well, I don't know if y'all have ever had that to say. I don't think I've ever had that to say. When you think about it, it was always a Louisville thing. We could say, yes, we got football, we got basketball, we got soccer, we got baseball, we got volleyball. We had all those things.
See,
we hit the Final Four one year.
We had 2013 was like.
See, you start losing points. You start doing that. You start losing points.
Take away points when we're making valid statements.
Hey, I'm running the show, so you lost points. But PJ, I got a question.
Safety. You can't take that away.
I got a question for you, PJ. Though, so does Kansas's offense, does it worry you at all? Because they're averaging 99 points. It's only 2 games into the season, so it's a small sample size. But you got two games, 99 points. I mean, they're shooting from the field 62.6%. You know,
they have a kid on their team, Fury, or Furry, whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. I was hoping that we get past with him not really coming out there shooting because he can shoot the ball really, really well. And I think really what happened with Kansas is they had a kid by the name of Arteria Morris who transferred from Texas, who got kicked off the team literally a month before the season started, who was one of their guards, who was going to be one of their starting guard players for an assault, which he already got an assault charge back in Texas. So he shouldn't have been there regardless.
And you know what? You know, I remember him because he was in the portal, and I was hoping Kentucky would recruit him. That was I think that was the one for a replacement for what's his name that's up there in Milwaukee. You know who I'm talking about. I can't remember our players from last year, but Livingston.
Oh, Livingston, yeah. No, I mean, I think we have done a pretty decent job, I would say that, of staying away from some problematic circles. If you have a kid who can never be held accountable for like that, beating on a woman, y'all try to cover it up and keep it quiet, it gets exposed, you still take him on to Texas, then he does it again. And mind you, we want to see these kids change. You know what I'm saying? I'm not being dismissive of that. We're hoping that he changes, but continuous, like, same acts happen over and over again. You have to learn your lesson, and they learned their lesson the hard way. They came to the season thinking they're going to have this star-studded guard along with a Harris, and they have this guy named Marco, who's really good freshman, and of course with their returners. And they was going to run, and here we are a month before the season starts, and he's off the team.
Gotcha.
Because he did the same thing over again. So their team is overall still good. I think Kansas has a good team. They have constructed still a good roster. Bill Self is still a good coach, right? But it's really just, are the kids, when I say the kids, I mean the freshmen, are they going to come out and when the lights are the brightest, which they typically have done, which you have hope, because DJ usually plays really well when the lights turn on. Rob plays really well when the lights turn on, and I think that's going to be a determining factor for this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll tell you another thing that makes me nervous is I know what you said about Hunter.
You can't give a point just because you agreed.
No, it's not. I'm giving the points for what he said, not for what I said.
You did.
I haven't given myself any points.
Around and dinged it again, bro.
I haven't given myself. Guess what, Richard, the clock is at 0, and that was the last subject. Louisville has won this episode, okay? I give that to you guys. I'm getting ready to do my closing remarks. You guys won this episode. I'm going to let to two Louisville fans, guys, it's just so everybody knows this is our new format. I hope everybody has enjoyed this new format. We kept it going a little bit faster. We got hung up on a couple of subjects, but it's nothing like we have in the past. Kind of well-rounded, talked about a little bit of everything and kept it going a little bit. Kind of kept score of that as well, too. Louisville won this episode, make more good points than Kentucky side. Partially because Kentucky side is short-handed. I didn't give points from myself agreeing or whatever I said. It was solely on PJ versus the two Henderson boys. But they won this episode, and for winning this episode, they take the last 2 minutes themselves talking about whatever they want to talk about, whatever subject they want to talk about to end this show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys attend our next episode. PJ, I think PJ is already gone out. Oh, he cut off his camera and he's back. So I'm gonna put PJ on mute. I'm gonna put myself on mute. I'm gonna let them two go for the last 2 minutes. Now, this is Cats versus Cards, so they could go after Kentucky and we can't do anything about it. That's the beauty of this, because when Kentucky wins, we can go after Louisville as well. So Richard, I'm going to give you your 2 minutes, followed by Perry. I'll give you your 2 minutes, all right? Go ahead and go, sir.
Well, first off, I think your scoring system is highly dubious, highly biased. Number one, when you agree with somebody, you gave them a point, then you turned around, I agree with that, gave another point. And you got to remember, I was without my partner for, how long was Perry out? 30 minutes? And
you did a great job.
But yet I see you was spiking the score, trying. I got to get UK to win it. You was just because you said the word "hey." He said UK. There's another point. I'm like, what? What kind of scoring is this?
It wasn't like that. Well, you already spent 30 seconds talking about my score. Go ahead.
I yield my time. I had a good time, y'all. First off, Cards for Life, L1C4.
All right, Cards for Life, L1C4. Go ahead, Perry. You got your 2 minutes, sir.
I just want to encourage all of the Louisville fans out there. Guys, we'll be back. We'll be back. Night only lasts for a little bit, and then the day comes. We'll be back. We will be back. Look at our football program. They back.
Is he preaching?
They back. The football program is back. We took a little halfway hiatus. Yeah, exactly. Anytime you got UK fans that are scared and trying to put out the flames, every time something positive come up about Louisville, oh, no, they ain't it. Oh, they playing this. All they do. We back. We back. Can you smell it? The fear. Can you smell it? The trembling. The fear. Oh, we back. Go, Cards. Go.
I'm going to give it to you for that one. Guys, I appreciate today. Just like I said earlier, I hope everybody has enjoyed the new format. And if you have, give us a like. Like I said, like and share so you guys catch us next time. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, Phil. I'm sorry. I'm getting this right. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Perry. Guys, catch us next time. Same bat channel, same bat place. All right.